Mother Goose in a New Dress. Bramble Bush and Other Rhymes. McLoughlin Bros, New York. Copyrighted circa 1896. A dollar, a 10 o'clock scholar, what makes you come so soon? You used to come at 10 o'clock, but now you come at noon. Peas pudding hot, peas pudding cold, peas pudding in the pot, 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it in the pot, 9 days old. Bye, baby, bunting, daddy's gone hunting, to get a little rabbit skin, to wrap his baby bunting in. Seesaw, sacre down, which is the way to Boston town? 1 foot up, the other foot down, that is the way to Boston town. There was an old woman lived under the hill, and if she's not gone, she lives there still. Baked apples she sold, and cranberry pies, and she's the old woman that never told lies. As I was going along, long, a-singing a comical song, the lane that I went was so long, and the song that I sung was so long, that I too went singing along, long. If I'd as much money as I could spend, I never would cry old chairs to mend, old chairs to mend, old chairs to mend, I never would cry old chairs to mend. If I'd as much money as I could tell, I never would cry old clothes to sell, old clothes to sell, old clothes to sell, I never would cry old clothes to sell. Hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. If your daughters don't like 'em, give them to your sons. 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. A cat came fiddling out of a barn, with a pair of bagpipes under her arm, she could sing nothing but fiddle cum fee, the mouse has married the humble bee. Pipe, cat, dance, mouse, we'll have a wedding at our good house. There was a man in our town, and he was wondrous wise, he jumped into a bramble bush, and scratched out both his eyes. And when he saw his eyes were out, with all his might and main, he jumped into another bush, and scratched them in again. Sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, for and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie, when the pie was opened the birds began to sing, and was not that a dainty dish to set before the king? The king is in the parlor, counting out his money, the queen was in the kitchen, eating bread and honey. The maid was in the garden, hanging out the clothes, there was a little blackbird and pecked off her nose. Daffydowndilly has come up to town, in a fine petticoat and a green gown. On a white pony the fair maid is seen, with posies and silver bells fit for a queen. There was a fat man of Bombay, who was smoking one sunshiny day, when a bird called a snipe, flew away with his pipe, which vexed the fat man of Bombay. The fair maid who, the 1st of May, goes to the fields at break of day, and washes in dew from the hawthorn tree, will ever after handsome be. Little Jack Jingle, he used to live single, but when he got tired of this kind of life, he left off being single, and lived with his wife. Hush-a-bye baby, on the treetop, when the wind blows, the cradle will rock, when the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, down comes hush-a-bye, baby, and all. I saw a ship a-sailing on the sea, and oh it was all laden with pretty things for thee. There were comfits in the cabin, and apples in the hold, the sails were made of silk, and the masts were made of gold. The 24 sailors, that stood between the decks, were 24 white mice, with chains about their necks. The captain was a duck, with a packet on his back, and when the ship began to move, the captain said, "Quack, quack." There was an old woman, and what do you think? She lived upon nothing but victuals and drink, and though victuals and drink were the chief of her diet, this little old woman could never be quiet. There was an old woman lived under a hill, she put a mouse in a bag, and sent it to mill. The miller declared by the point of his knife, he never took toll of a mouse in his life. When good King Arthur ruled his land, he was a goodly king, he stole 3 packs of barley meal, to make a bag pudding. A bag pudding the king did make, and stuffed it well with plums, and in it put great lumps of fat, as big as my 2 thumbs. The king and queen did eat thereof, and noblemen beside, And what they could not eat that night, the queen next morning fried.